All right, well, Auckland is going through exactly the same sort of issues, the same dynamic issues at the moment. They're changing the way in which they collect rubbish, and there is dissent, it has to be said, from the good people of Auckland who are saying, and it's the very obvious question you ask, why are you changing a system that works already and that we're paying for and we're happy with? Joining us to talk about that is Councillor David Hay, a councillor with the Auckland City Council. And David joins us now. David, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on.
Thank you. I better correct it. I was on Auckland Council for 27 years. I'm not there now.
Oh, you're not?
And I was Mayor of Mount Roskill in the first borough to introduce mobile garbage bins in New Zealand. So I have an interest. I'm president of Citizens and Ratepayers.
Right.
And we've just done
do you dominate the council table, or are you in the minority at the council table?
In a minority, but
right.
We're looking to change that next election.
Okay, well, that's next year. So you are hot on this issue of rubbish collection in Auckland, yeah?
Yeah, we've done a survey, and 95% came back anti the 2 weekly collection. So that's where we fit in. We're just out testing what the public feel, and perhaps some more of our councillors need to think about what the public are actually saying.
So you're changing your rubbish collection in Auckland from weekly to fortnightly. Have I got that right?
Well, that's what they're threatening. But the whole rubbish system in Auckland seems to have become a little bit incompetent, really. I see on my rates account for my own home, this little bin that collects food scraps, the cost of that's going up 26% this year. Then they send 2 people around the streets collecting that. Then the truck drives to Wairoa, I understand, to put it through the methane gas plant. But it's all diesel and road use getting there. I can't see that that's efficient.
No, I mean, my recycling, for example, in my council, we trucked it to Timaru for an entire year. I think we still do. Our green waste goes to Timaru. It's about 300 kilometres away from here, so you're right. It's not particularly efficient at all, or effective, or ideologically pure either. Listen, David,
I think your comments... Sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
I think your comments about the actual recycling, I understand there's a huge portion of that now is going to the tip, because Indonesia and other places don't want to buy it.
Correct. In addition to which, we've been, our local council, and I don't know what it's like in Auckland, but if you pollute any of the recycling, so you put the food scraps or something crappy in your recycling, it goes in the truck, the entire contents of the truck then don't get recycled because they are polluted by it, and so that goes to the tip as well.
Well, the council's going to have to come clean on what actually happens. I mean, I'm standing there sorting out my rubbish or rinsing a tin can, and I think, well, that's a bit stupid, isn't it? They use water to clean the stuff, to stick it in the recycling, and then they send it to the tip anyway. I might as well just stick it in my red lidded bin and send it straight to the tip.
Well, we are also getting threatened that if our recycling doesn't meet the recycling standards, in other words, we haven't done everything you've just described, there is the potential to be prosecuted or for not having clean recycling go in your yellow bin. Does that happen in Auckland as well?
I'm not aware of that, but I think the discussion's going to make the public far more aware, and they're going to demand some answers on what is happening to our recycling, what are the benefits and the cost of carting our food scraps to Wairoa to get it treated. And as people become more aware, they're going to realise that the council are incompetent on the question of rubbish.
I've travelled through Auckland when I fly into Auckland Airport, and I come through that sort of Papakura and that sort of Mount Wellington area, and I come into, or initially when I was working with Sky, it's a very unkempt area with lots of rubbish everywhere. I have to be honest with you, David. If you reduce the amount of rubbish collection, I would have thought throughout Auckland, don't you end up with more rubbish on the street?
Well, that's an interesting thing, because Auckland Council, in their wisdom, have reduced the public rubbish bins. That's the rubbish bins on parks and shopping centres and so on. They've been reduced, I think, 50%, because now people can't find places to put their rubbish. And if they cut the cycle in half, it's fortnightly instead of weekly, people are going to look elsewhere to put their rubbish. There's no public rubbish bins, fair enough, but they'll dump it in parks and dark corners and streets and so on. The amount of dumped rubbish will increase. And interesting, on my rates account this year, the natural environment, which I assume is keeping our environment right, is going up 86%. And I presume Auckland Council is budgeting for increased dumped rubbish. So it doesn't sort of add up to me.
You have a very woke council, because I'm reading here the changes that are proposed to the way in which Auckland Waste is managed, they say. And apparently it's a determined effort to conserve resources, protect our environment, move closer to zero waste by 2040. The whole concept that we could have zero waste by 2040, are they stupid?
Well, I think you hit it on the head. I think there's a majority there are woke. They're not the way we would have done business on council in my day. But even, have they thought about the companies collecting the rubbish? I mean, they're paid, as I understand it, on a per tonne per week basis. To collect it fortnight, they have to renegotiate all those contracts.
All right. The chair of Auckland's Planning, Environment and Parks Committee, Richard Hills, says the proposed changes will move Auckland closer to a zero waste vision for the region, reduce greenhouse gas emission, protect our people, clean up our waterways and our environment by reducing waste. Does that sound remotely credible as a aim or objective to you? I mean, even if you had that as an aim or objective, how do you get to making sure that no one puts out anything that is rubbish in Auckland?
Well, I don't think what he's saying is achievable. I don't think it makes sense to me. And of course, we're putting people into smaller and smaller properties. They've got less backyards, more difficult for composting, and we're just going to get more dumped rubbish on the roads.
Yes, you are. Auckland's a big place. You have this initiative coming through, which is going to move from weekly to fortnightly curbside rubbish collections. So in actual fact, you're going to pick up your rubbish less. The aim, is it in actual fact to ensure there's less waste, or just to save money, do you think, David? Well,
what they're doing is, I don't know how much they're going to save, haven't seen those figures, but the average weight per bin will increase. I mean, some people now, the trucks collect, some bins are quarter full, some half full, some jam full. Now they'll end up with every bin full. So that doesn't mean to say the tonnage will come down. And if you're away and you miss a fortnightly collection, then your chicken bones or whatever's going to be in the rubbish for a month, not 2 weeks.
Stinky.